President Biden is expected to sign two executive orders this afternoon, one of them bolstering food aid and the other one aimed at protecting workers and promoting a $15 minimum wage for federal employees. These moves follow actions yesterday on combating COVID-19 and Wednesday's orders on issues ranging from energy leasing to evictions and student loan relief. Joining us right now to talk about everything we've seen and what we expect to come is New Jersey Representative Josh Gottheimer, also New York Representative Tom Reed. They are the co-chairs of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. And gentlemen, what we've heard this week have been messages of unity coming from President Biden, and I'm sure that's music to both of your ears. Let's talk a little bit about what we've seen, though. And Congressman Reed, I'll start with you since you're the Republican at the table. What do you think of the early executive orders that we've seen, of the early request for COVID-19 funding?
Well, obviously I'm concerned about some of these executive orders and some of the action they're taking, and I disagree with them, like the energy leasing proposal in particular. I think we should be developing our energy resources, not cutting them off for energy security and economic reasons. But that being said, I've always said when President Obama was in office, when President Trump was in office, executive orders can be done by executive orders, but they can be undone by executive orders. And the better policy is to get policy that's bipartisan, that's supported, and that's the long-term legacy effect that we need to do. And that's why people like us in the Problem Solvers Caucus can come together, find common ground, and that's where we're going to have to keep going forward. And one of the areas of common ground should be COVID, getting it in the history books as soon as possible. That helps all Americans, and that's what we should be focusing on, in my opinion, right now to find common ground.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. COVID first, Congressman Gottheimer. $1.9 trillion. Is that something that you can get both sides of your caucus lined up and say, OK, this is a bill we need to pass? Or are there sticking points in that you don't think that the problem solvers would be behind?
Well, and good morning. We're still getting all the details of that package. What is clear is that the work we did at the end of the year and the package that Tom and I and the Problem Solvers Caucus, along with a bipartisan group of senators, worked on was to get emergency relief out as quickly as possible, which we did, and to get us through the first quarter. The challenge is March will come fast, so we have to get to work on making sure that we can keep getting out resources, as Tom just said, to fight COVID, to beat COVID, get those vaccines out, to help our families through a very tough time with food relief, which I know the president's working on today, but also more resources for unemployment, which will roll off in March, that extra unemployment dollars. And of course, state and local resources, which is something we didn't get in the last package, and a lot of our municipalities are hurting. But the bottom line is, and some of this was done through executive action already, we've got to get the help to beat the vaccine, get those resources out there. We're not going fast enough. The virus continues to ravage the country. We know we've lost 400,000 people, and unfortunately, it's speeding up, not slowing down. So we've got to get ahead of it. And I think that's what's going to be key in whatever package we put out, to make sure we have the resources to do that and to help us and our small businesses and families get through these rough months ahead.
Congressman Reed, let's just focus on the COVID-19 package. Obviously, things are still firming up, but we know where the initial markers have been laid down, and you can probably pretty easily tell what the third rails are in that. One of them would have to be the $350 billion for state and municipalities. Another would be the $15 minimum wage. What do the Republicans in your caucus have to say about those issues? Is that something that you think you can find bipartisan support on, or will they continue to be the sticking points they have to this point?
Well, I think we have to first take a deep breath on the $900 billion that we did on the stimulus package that Josh and I and the Problem Solvers Caucus, a gang of 8 in the Senate, worked on and got delivered to the American people. So we got to see where that money goes. And then at that point in time, then we can have a healthy conversation about some of the remaining issues. And state and local aid is obviously going to be part of that conversation. Liability reform is also going to be part of that conversation because the lawsuits are now starting to pile up. And anybody who thinks that lawsuit and liability reform is going to go away and needs to be addressed is living in a fairyland because those liability concerns are real. People are losing their defense coverage under their liability insurance policies. And so we're going to have to deal with state and local and liability coverage here in short order. And so I think there's an opportunity to do a package there. But when you're talking about $1.9 trillion, right immediately on top of $900 billion that hasn't even gone out of the Treasury's offices yet, it literally has just been approved and is being distributed as we speak, I think it's a little premature to start talking about another $1.9 trillion in total until we actually see how this money of $900 billion impacts the economy and where we stand as the vaccine that we need to come together on today gets rolled out and solves this issue of COVID-19 herd immunity that we all need to get to as soon as possible.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.